Bummer.
So I played Chip's Challenge in late 2020, no idea when this video's going up to be honest, and I thought it was a bit of a mixed experience. I remember many years ago I played a game called Black Shift, which I found out later on was deeply inspired by Chip's Challenge, and that was a fun game, although it had some problems. I think the controls were a little bit too slippery, maybe a little bit too jittery, but regardless, it got me interested in the original game it was inspired by. And obviously Chip's Challenge has been on Steam for a while, and obviously eventually it went free, and that was my sort of chance to take a plunge into it, and as I said, I thought it was a bit of a mixed bag. I think the core concept of Chip's Challenge is generally quite good. You're going around solving puzzles, picking up chips, dodging enemies and making your way to the exit. Great idea. I think what really lets it down are some of the levels. Some of the levels are just, to be honest, just kind of downright obnoxious and tedious. Not necessarily difficult, but just they go on too long. For example, there's a level called Blobnet, probably one of the more infamous levels in the game, and you have to go around dodging these blobs, picking up the chips, and it's not necessarily a difficult level, it just takes so long because there's like 80 plus chips in it, and eventually it's like, I kind of get the point, I just want to go to the next level, and of course one mistake and you're sent right back to the beginning, and it just makes the entire process quite tedious. Another example of a level that's sort of tedious but not necessarily hard is On the Rocks. You have to go around and push a bunch of blocks to make yourself bridges to get the chips and eventually make your way to the exit. It's a good idea for a level, but again it just goes on for way too long and it just becomes very tedious. Funnily enough, on Steam you actually get achievements for beating some of these more infamously tedious levels, so I think they're aware of the fact that these levels aren't so good, and almost like giving you a thumbs up for actually tolerating them. Another example of a level that sort of shits the bed a little bit, I think, is Blockbuster. It starts with a generally good block sliding puzzle, and after that there's this horrendous section where you have to keep dodging blocks that are moving backwards and forwards. This kind of takes the mick a little bit. I mean, just look at this. Just look how ridiculous the timing here is, and you have to do it like multiple times in a row. And it's just like, this doesn't work. And of course if you fail this, you have to do that puzzle at the beginning again, so it just makes it tedious. But that's the thing, those levels are in the minority. There's generally lots of great levels. There's a level called Mix Up, which has a series of great block sliding puzzles, and I loved that level. It took me several attempts to figure out how to beat each little section of it, but it was a really fun experience, and that's the reason why I enjoyed the game for the most part, with those sort of levels. There was a later level called Cakewalk, which I enjoyed quite a lot as well. But I think the worst levels in the game for me personally were the maze levels. I've always hated mazes in games, they're a bit my pet peeve. And half of the maze levels in this game are fine, eventually you're going to make your way through it anyway, but some of them are really obnoxious. There's one, which unfortunately I forgot the name of, but it's like a one-way maze. Once you go through one path you can't go back, and you can imagine it's a big maze, you can only go through paths one way. Absolute chore. I literally just cheated on that level. I just followed a guy because I was like, I don't want to figure this shit out. I don't want to spend like an hour on one level. And there was another maze level later on where nearly the entire thing is invisible. I think it was called Stripes, and it was just like, oh my god, I don't want to do this, and I had to like watch a video for completion and like follow along. It was just like, this is anti-fun to me. This isn't fun. There's one later level called Ice Death, and that one was again just an obnoxious sort of maze-like level. And here's the thing, I mean, those other maze levels are bad enough, but you could sort of figure it out. With Ice Death, one wrong move and you die. You just slide right into water. And the funny thing is, on the wiki, on the Bitbusters wiki, the Chip's Challenge wiki, it says it has a very high negative reputation, and even the level designer and the creator of the game, Chuck Somerville, agrees with the assertion that it's a crap level. Now, admittedly, there's no citation on that, but if that is true, I mean, that's a sign that I think even the creators of the game are aware that a lot of the levels aren't very good. But that's the thing, I think most of the levels are fine. That's my GoPro. That's the thing, I might be talking quite a lot of negative things about the game, but I do think as a whole it's a good game, and I definitely would recommend giving it a go. Not just because it's free now. Well, it's free now, it might change soon, you never know. But I do like it as a whole. I think it does have a lot of stuff to offer, and I think it is generally quite fun for the most part. And my recommendation is, if you are going to play it, if you get to a level that you particularly don't like, or if you think it's particularly tedious or horrible, just skip it. There's nothing wrong with that. Concentrate on playing the fun levels. We play games for the most part because they're fun, and you may as well just sort of stick to the good bits. you know, you probably find that 3/4 of the level in the game are generally quite good. So yeah, I mean, Chips Challenge has got its problems, but I think for the most part it's a decent game and I could definitely recommend it.